What's up, y'all? It's your girl Cornelia back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. It was All-Star Weekend over down to the Los Angeles, y'all. It was All-Star Weekend. Yo, low key, I almost forgot. Let me say this. It was All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles. And if you are, I would say a millennial or older, I can't speak for Generation Z. I don't know. But if you're a millennial and older, and I would even say elder millennial, well, nah, let's just leave them all together. Just not the super young millennials. No disrespect to y'all. No disrespect. I'm going to get to the point. If you are a millennial and older, you remember All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend being a huge deal. I would even I'm going to put a little asterisk in it. I would even say NFL Pro Bowl weekend. Now, while it wasn't as huge, Super Bowl weekend used to be like kind of big, but NBA All-Star Weekend was major. And I put that caveat in there because it used to be like massive movements around these. Remember Rock and Jock? Remember like Rock and Jock on MTV used to be a thing that coincided with these massive sporting events and sporting weekends. I'm from and a part of the generation who remembers NBA All-Star Weekend being the thing. Like people used to fly out, and I'm sure they still do, but it was a thing for you and your homegirls, you and your homeboys, couples, crews used to save up and plan to travel to All-Star Weekend to party, kick it, and have a good time. That used to be a major function. All-Star Weekend gonna be so and so. Bet. Let's head out to All-Star Weekend. When I first moved to LA, All-Star Weekend was here in 2011. When I tell y'all I had me a good old time. I had a good time. I was new to the city. I was still young and had that energy because, hey, not right now, Auntie Todd. Okay. But 2011, I just came from New York where I was big kicking it, honey. Okay. My party days in New York were legendary for me. So I still had a little pep in my step. I had a fantastic time for NBA All-Star Weekend 2011. Okay. It was fantastic. Good old time. Fast forward to 2026, and I'm only speaking for me right now. I barely knew that it was happening. Now, that could be because I do not live in Inglewood. In case you're not from LA, don't live in LA, and haven't visited LA, specifically the Inglewood area, baby, they put all the stadiums except Staples/Crypto down there. Everything about to be down there. Kia Forum down there. The Forum is usually venue now for like concerts. They had some of the All-Star Weekend stuff at Kia Forum. Baby, down the street is SoFi, the football stadium. Down the street is Intuit. I heard they were talking about building a Chargers stadium. I don't know where that's going to be. Then you have everything that was existing in Inglewood, the casino and them. Then right now you have stuff going up all around down that part of LA for the Olympics. It be packed in a mug. So I don't live down there. Now it could have been a different vibe, but I have been having conversations with some of my friends who do live down there, and they also were saying it just didn't feel like All-Star Weekend this year. It was like real quiet. I know people who went to stuff, but hey, it was different. I also bought tickets to go to the HBCU Classic. There was a basketball game between Hampton University. Shout out to Hampton, HU in the building. Go Pirates. Versus North Carolina A&T. Child, I done sold my ticket at the last minute. I was sick for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks, and I was feeling a little better, but I was still exhausted. And I had something to do the next morning. So I sold my tickets. So it's safe to say that I didn't really do nothing All-Star Weekend related. I tried to watch some of the activities on TV. Sometimes I couldn't even find it. It was just real interesting. But I say that to say, One couple and pair that seem to be making the biggest splash in a positive way for us at NBA All Star Weekend was President and First Lady Barack Obama and Miss Michelle Obama. Child, they was down to the LA All Star Weekend having a good old time. And this is why that man over there in that house be mad. This is why. You can tell by the social media posts, the videos, the pictures, everything that we've seen, all the content that we've seen over the weekend featuring and talking about those two, that they are still very, very, very loved, very, very respected. And people are genuinely excited still to see and interact with them, whether that just be general American citizens, whether that be celebrities, athletes, current players, and retired crowd participant, who you name it. People was losing their mind over there when they saw the Bombers down to the All Star Weekend events. Okay, I saw the one first video where they announced them at the game. Barack stood up, standing ovation, roaring applause. He doing his wave. You know, he be doing that wave. He turn around one direction way. He turned to the next wave. He had his little members only jacket on, a pair of chinos. Miss Michelle over down there with her fit on. You know, Michelle be dressed down now. Don't play. Crowd standing up, everybody cheering. Contrast to that, they said the man over in the house on the East Coast, his second in command, they said he got booed at the Olympics. The first in command, they said he been getting booed down to the games, not the NBA All Star game, but to the other games, but not President Obama. And this is important. Why? It's for many reasons, but a couple. One, we need a glimmer of hope, and I'm not saying a glimmer of hope like they gonna do something, because they are out of office. And y'all know I am one of those people. I am not in the business of people yelling out, talking about what y'all gonna do to help us, what you gonna do. They told us who to vote for. They told y'all what y'all supposed to do in the voting booth. That's what they told you. Y'all know when it's time to get down to business on come election season, y'all know Barack gonna hit that road. He gonna sit behind that podium with his button up shirt, the button up, unbutton at the top button and the sleeves cuffed, and he gonna give you a speech. Y'all know Michelle gonna go over down to the campaign and do what she need to do. They told y'all what was at stake. Y'all didn't listen. And so now I reject people being like, where's Barack Obama? He at the house. He over down to the NBA All-Star Weekend. He got tickets. You should have saved up and got you some. But we need hope and like positivity to keep us going. That keep us going could mean different things for different people, but it's nice to see and be reminded of what was and what could be for historical purposes as well. It's good to see that contrast of this was the only black president in the 250-year history of this country, and we are now living in the backlash to only one person of color being in that office after 250 years. For context, we need to see that. And we need to remember it as much as possible. And we need to be reminded that someone like that could be loved and appreciated and respected, even if you don't agree with their politics. Okay. Another reason why this was good and we need to see this. There has been disrespect flying all across about those two. Just last week, maybe 2 weeks ago on Black News, I talked about the racist GIFs or memes or videos that was floating around talking about the Obamas, like I said. And so to signal or to show that kind of rhetoric is beneath them, and regardless of what you say and what you do, I'ma still be shining. Yes, it's good, and I'm glad that they were out and about kicking it, because what you not about to do is try to run nobody up out of town. And I say that because the point number 3, there also been threats talking about arrest them and put them in jail, lock them up. You better stop. You better knock it off. And it's good again to see them out and about because it's saying, keep talking your ish. We gonna be down to the NBA All-Star weekend enjoying ourselves while you over there playing goofy games. Okay? While you playing games. I loved seeing them around. And again, based on social media and commentary, it seemed like other people did as well. It seemed like other people did as well. People were getting their pictures. I ain't gonna hold you. Listen, if I'm around them and I'm at an event where I am considered a peer or even in the space where I can get me a photo, I'm getting me a pic with the Obamas. You crazy? Listen, people was laughing like people trying to get pictures. Baby, hold this camera. Get and then take a bunch so I can pick to see, make sure I look good in all of them when I'm standing next to the Obamas. Take a bunch. Also, shout out to Sasha Obama because she was ever down to the game as well and was in one of the pictures with them. Sasha Obama is beautiful. She was in that picture and I was like, wait, who was this girl in the picture? It's like, who is this? But I zoomed in. Sasha Obama is one of the most beautiful young women I have ever seen. I mean, just gorgeous. And good for her for staying out the limelight because y'all be getting on people's nerves. And I'm not talking about the Black News listeners. I'm talking about the general public who be harassing them kids. Well, them grown women now. But regardless, let me know your thoughts about it and what you thought about them being out and about. And did you watch any of the All-Star Weekend events? If you were in LA County, did you participate? Let me know. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. One of the other reasons that I started with that topic that I just spoke about in regards to President Barack Obama is because I wanted to first, in a light way, highlight the importance of Barack Obama being out and about and us seeing him being the first and only Black president of the United States of America that we've had and the legacy and history around that, but also to highlight and to bring up the fact that Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away today, the day that I'm recording this podcast. And I wanted to segue into that because for a lot of people, and it could be depending on age or just how steeped in Black history you are, a lot of people don't realize and don't remember Jesse Jackson running for president of the United States, right? They do not remember the major pushes. And I only remember that second push, the 1988 push. He ran in 84 and then also again in 1988. And one of the main reasons I remember is because he was featured on an episode of A Different World, and that was a big topic. Y'all know that was my show. But I just want to spend a little time talking about Jesse Jackson because when it comes to Black history, Black culture, Black civil rights, Black politics, and politics for all people, regardless of color, Jesse Jackson was a giant in our world, in our space. From again, zero down to Black culture and widening out to the entire world. So going back a little bit, Jesse Jackson, and again, before I go into that, if y'all remember when Barack Obama was elected, Jesse Jackson was visibly very, very, very emotional that night and leading up to it because there was some stuff going on, whatever going on. But that night that he won, there are pictures floating around. If y'all remember watching it live, baby, Jesse was toe up crying. I mean, can you imagine going through everything that you've been through, being born in the Jim Crow South in South Carolina, marching and being alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Jesse was on that balcony. Let's not forget, Jesse was on that balcony the day that Martin was shot. in Memphis. Seeing all of that, seeing the aftermath of what happened, being around when both Kennedys were assassinated, Malcolm X, then through the 70s, saw the war on drugs, chemical warfare on Black people, civil rights being passed, but everything that was happening at the time, to have the audacity to run for president as a Black man in the 80s twice. At one point, I believe in the 88 campaign, he was the front runner for the Democratic Party for a point. Until I believe who was the who beat him out? Michael Dukakis or something. Like, come on. And then to see, after all that you've witnessed, a Black man being elected president of this here United States of America, I'm willing to bet that whole 70-year worth of history was swarming right in front of his eyes. I just can't imagine. So I'm going to read a little bit of Jesse Jackson's bio, just so we can know, for people who don't know or people who do know, what some of his legacy entails. I'm going to read it directly off of the Rainbow Push Coalition's website, which is the organization that he founded. This is his organization. And then after that, I'm going to play one of the clips that I really remember from the episode of A Different World that I talked about him being on, where he did a speech at an event. Just a backstory about that episode. That was when Dwayne was campaigning for office at Hillman, and Jesse Jackson was on campus for, I forget the reason, but he was Dwayne was asking him for advice, and then later on in Jesse Jackson's speech, not necessarily related to Dwayne, he did use the conversations and what he saw in Dwayne as a segue to take him into the speech that he was going to give to the students at Hillman. And y'all know A Different World was big and notorious for bringing on Black legends of the time, and then have them getting Jesse Jackson, who again was one of the front runners for the Democratic Party's nomination for president of the United States. That was a big deal. So I'm going to start with reading his bio, and then we're going to play the video. Okay. The bio: Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr., founder and president of Rainbow Push Coalition. The Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr., founder and president of Rainbow Push Coalition, is one of America's foremost civil rights, religious, and political figures. Over the past 40 years, he has played a pivotal role in virtually every movement for empowerment, peace, civil rights, gender equality, and economic and social justice. In August 9th, 2000, President Bill Clinton awarded Reverend Jackson the Medal of Freedom, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Reverend Jackson has been called the conscience of the nation and the great unifier, challenging America to be inclusive and to establish just and humane priorities for the benefit of all. He is known for bringing people together on common ground across lines of race, culture, class, gender, and belief. Born on October 8th, 1941 in Greenville, South Carolina, Jesse Jackson graduated from the public schools in Greenville, then enrolled in the University of Illinois on a football scholarship. He later transferred to North Carolina A&T State University and graduated in 1964. He began his theological studies at Chicago Theological Seminary, but deferred his studies when he began working full-time in the civil rights movement with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was ordained on June 30th, 1968 by Reverend Clay Evans and received his earned Master of Divinity degree from Chicago Theological Seminary in 2000. For his work in human and civil rights and nonviolent social change, Reverend Jackson has received more than 40 honorary doctorate degrees and frequently lectures at major colleges and universities, including Howard, Yale, Princeton, Morehouse, Harvard, Columbia, Stanford, and Hampton. He was made an honorary fellow of Regent's Park College at Oxford University in the UK in November 2007 and received an honorary fellowship from Edge Hill University in Liverpool, England. In March 2010, Reverend Jackson was inducted into England's prestigious Cambridge Union Society. In April 2010, he was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. In 1997, Reverend Jackson was appointed by President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Madeleine Albright as Special Envoy of the President and Secretary of State for the Promotion of Democracy in Africa. In this official position, Reverend Jackson traveled to several countries on the African continent and met with such leaders as President Nelson Mandela of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Daniel T. Arap Moi of Kenya, and President Frederick T. Chiluba of Zambia. Reverend Jackson began his activism as a student in the summer of 1960, seeking to desegregate the local public library in Greenville, and then as a leader in the sit-in movement. In 1965, he became a full-time organizer for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He was soon appointed by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to direct the Operation Breadbasket program. In December of 1971, Reverend Jackson founded Operation Push, People United to Serve Humanity, in Chicago, Illinois. The goal of Operation Push were economic empowerment and expanding educational, business, and employment opportunities for the disadvantaged and people of color. In 1984, Reverend Jackson founded the National Rainbow Coalition, a social justice organization based in Washington, D.C., devoted to political empowerment, education, and changing public policy. In September 1996, the Rainbow Coalition and Operation Push merged to form the Rainbow Push Coalition to continue the work of both organizations and to maximize resources. Long before national health care, a war on drugs, direct peace negotiations between Palestinians and Israelis, ending apartheid in South Africa, and advancing democracy in Haiti became accepted policy positions, Reverend Jesse Jackson advocated for them. Reverend Jackson's advocacy on these and other issues helped bring the American public to a new level of consciousness. Reverend Jackson's 2 presidential campaigns broke new ground in U.S. politics. His 1984 campaign registered over 1 million new voters, won 3.5 million votes, and helped the Democratic Party regain control of the Senate in 1986. His 1988 campaign registered over 2 million new voters, won 7 million votes, and helped boost hundreds of state and local elected officials into office. Additionally, he won historic victories, coming in first or second in 46 out of 54 primary contests. His clear progressive agenda and his ability to build an unprecedented coalition inspired millions to join the political process. It goes on some more. I implore all of you to read the rest of this on the website. It talks about, more of his family, his children, and some of the other things that he has done. Again, a long life worth of service in politics and just in the public as well. So with that, I'm going to just play a little bit of the video that I told you about, his episode on A Different World.
Thank you for the introduction, Beanie. Earlier today, as I contemplated this lecture tonight, I thought about a young man who had been in a rather sad and melancholy mood, feeling insignificant, impotent, worthless, that he did not count. As I thought about him, it occurred to me that his real problem was he felt that as one person, he could not make a difference. The change in America that's taken place in the last 30 years has occurred because somebody thought that they could make a difference. That's right. The changes did not come from Wall Street, or the White House, or the Congress, the courts. They always started by some young person who thought that they could, in fact, make a difference. Rosa Parks got on a bus one day. The sign above the driver's head read, "The colored seat from the rear, white seat from the front. Violators will be punished by law." She refused to go to the back of the bus.
Yes, you did.
And she was arrested. Dr. King went to her rescue, a 26-year-old student, and told her, better that you walk in dignity than ride in shame. One person can make a difference. In 1957, 9 students at Little Rock Central High in Arkansas went to school one day led by the Army. They refused to bow. They made a difference. In the next few years, young America died that we might live. Medgar Evers was killed in cold blood about this right to vote. Serena Goodman and chained 2 Jews and an African American were bulldozed to death with their eyes wide open in Philadelphia, Mississippi, about this right to vote. Jimmy Lee Jackson's 15-year-old African American student shot and killed in Marion, Alabama, about this right to vote. 4 darling little girls blown up in the church in Birmingham, Alabama, one Sunday morning, all about the right to vote. They made a difference. Yes. You must make a difference. Whenever students are sober and sane and sensitive and put hope in their brains and not dope in their veins, they can always make a difference. Yes, it can. Because they died, your generation has the power. John Kennedy was elected by a margin of 112,000 votes. Less than 1 vote per precinct. Everybody counts. Nixon beat Humphrey by 550,000 votes. Carter beat Ford by 1,700,000. Fewer than 3 million votes elected 3 presidents in 16 years. Today, there are 3.2 million high school seniors alone graduating. They should come across that stage with a diploma in one hand and a voter card in the other, because they can make a difference. 12 million college students must vote. You have the power. You must not have the attitude. It's not my aptitude, but my attitude that determines my altitude or how high I will go. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world. Just because it rains, I don't have to drown. I may have been born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. I can rise above my circumstance. Hands that once picked cotton can now pick presidents. You want to free Mandela and free South Africa? Let's vote about it. Let's vote about it.
So it has been a minute since I came on here with the with my sinners talk. Y'all thought I forgot? Hey man, hey, I didn't forget. I went on a mission. I told y'all last that I was on a mission to watch the nominated films for this year's award season, and I'm specifically talking about the best picture, everything that's in consideration for best picture, whether it's gonna be on the ballots or not, because some of these ain't. I am, I would say a third of the way through. I got about another week before my screeners run out. So I'm in the final push. I got about 5 more movies that I want to watch. Hey, it's been hard work. I've been very busy. It's also hard because I usually have time during the day to watch movies at the very end when I'm cooking dinner, cleaning up, and getting ready for bed. I got my routine down pat so good. That routine, take out the cooking part and eating. But when it's time to do dishes, clean up the kitchen, and get ready for bed, a lot of times that does not give me the full amount of time that it takes to watch an entire movie. So I'll be having to watch it 2 days. But I'm getting there. This is what I've watched so far. Yes, of course, I watched Sinners. I've also watched Train Dreams, Hedda, Hamnet, Frankenstein, Weapons, Marty Supreme, Wicked for Good, One Battle After Another, F1. The movies left that I have to watch, I'm gonna watch Blue Moon. It's on the list. I ain't heard nothing about no dang Blue Moon. It's on the list. I'm gonna try to get that in. But the priority, I need to watch Begonia. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And then another one that I'm gonna have to watch. I ain't heard a lot of people saying I need to watch it. Song Sung Blue. I don't have access to this via screeners, The Secret Agent. And there was one foreign film that people were saying was fantastic. Um, I forget what it's called. I need to watch that one. I gotta find it. But I'm almost there. Now, with that in mind, right? I've seen all of these so far. Again, Sinners, Train Dreams, Hedda, Hamnet, Frankenstein, Weapons, Marty Supreme, Wicked, For Good, One Battle After Another, and F1. Anybody saying that Sinners is not the best movie of 2025 has lost their MF in mind. You got to, you have lost your mind if you are telling me that Sinners is not the best movie of 2025. Listen, I am in the position, I am open to debating why Sinners is still the best movie of 2025. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not saying that these movies are not good. There's some wonderful and some beautiful movies on here. And I actually am feeling, I would say, what's a step under of upset? Irritated and annoyed. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling very irritated and annoyed that the conversations around what the best pictures are don't match what I believe to be true. And I feel like that speaks for the viewer and for people who dominate the demographic of people who dominate the air quote film critic lane. Because when people tell me that out of the ones that I've watched, when they tell me that One Battle After Another or Marty Supreme are their favorite movies, they think those are the best movies. To me, it actually speaks to who the main demographic within the film space actually is. I can see, based on who we know to be dominating that space, of course, they would think One Battle After Another and movies like that and Marty Supreme are the best because those are written for them. I talked about my One Battle After Another critique before. Were there some really great moments in that movie? Yeah. Was some action sequence in the back half, that second act, were some good ones? Yeah. Benicio del Toro is actually the standout in that movie, and I would have appreciated more build out for his character and what he had going on, but it wasn't. But this movie has some of the most poorly written black women characters I have ever seen on screen. There were derogatory terms, racist terms used in this movie that I haven't heard in years. Like, and people be like, oh, it was satire. Yeah, but it still has to be good. And people who were like found that like funny humorous, it tells me that you think or are you type to be waiting for opportunity to laugh at and to find pleasure in those themes, in those types of moments. Now, that ain't a blanket statement. I'm drilling down with this. Now, I will add, I can see why Timothy Chalamet is getting the awards. He played one of the most annoying men I have ever seen. I mean, Marty was narcissistic, self centered, kind of manic, just impulsive, only cared about himself, willing to do whatever it takes for him to succeed and achieve his goals, regardless of who he steps on, disrespected, play, use, it don't matter. He was out for self. I can see, again, going back to demographic, really identifying with that character and being like, yeah, that's the one. Now, did he do a good job? Yeah. Was he killing them ping pong things? Absolutely. So I can see, and again, if Timothy Chalamet wins, I am not upset about it. I would prefer Michael B. Jordan because we're gonna root for everybody black. And also, I like to challenge people with this point. If a white man did the exact same thing, the exact same way, with the exact same level of difficulty that Michael B. Jordan did in Sinners, he would be the front runner for the conversation. But I think Timothy Chalamet gonna take it, and I can see that. I ain't mad. I ain't really mad at it. But let me say this because I want y'all to. I want us to. I I think we missing some really good movies being by being led in a direction opposite of where we need to go. What I mean, Train Dreams, Hedda, and Hamnet were beautiful movies. I would actually put, and I'm saying this, my two favorite movies out of the ones that I listed are actually Sinners and Train Dreams. Train Dreams was one. If now when it comes to cinematography, y'all know Autumn Durald Akapar is nominated, and she's the center cinematographer. First woman of color being nominated. If she went first woman of color, all this. The competition between cinematography is between Train Dreams and Sinners. Both beautiful landscape. Train Dreams is about, and it's just so, the movie is so simple, right? It is about a man in, the early 1900s working, doing like odd jobs, or not even odd jobs, but working in the railroad industry and chopping down trees, clearing land for the budding train industry. He is witnessing the dynamic of people within that space. There are some situations where you see some interactions with some of the Asian workers and what was happening to them during that time. This man meets a woman, has a baby. Some things happen. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was so simple. But the story immediately got pulled me in, and I was immediately curious about what was happening with these people. Again, not better than Sinners, but Train Dreams is to me better than a lot of the movies that people were talking about. Hedda also did that for me. Tessa Thompson acted her ass off, and Hedda was a reimagining of the classic play and content Hedda of Hedda Gabler, directed by Nia DaCosta, a black woman. It was beautifully shot. The texturing in that was great. The commentary, the storyline, the acting, the set. It was the pacing was great. It kept you on the edge of your seat. It was just so much going on in that movie, and it was really well done. Hamnet was basically an adaptation of a story that was written, and I don't know if it's the true story of William Shakespeare, but it was basically following William Shakespeare and his wife and family and what happened to them and how the story of Hamlet was created. The first part of the movie, it's interesting. It's a lot of romance and it get real heavy and like passionate. But that back half, it's some tragedy that happens. The woman who is playing Agnes, the lead character, she taking Best Actress. I haven't seen Begonia. People saying Emma Stone is one of the front runners. Baby, if that woman who don't, I got to wait till I see Begonia. But that actress in Hamnet, baby, she taking it. The emotion, I mean, y'all. And then it was at the back end, they were showing you the first showing in the first playing of Hamlet on stage. Beautiful scenes. Acting was on 10. Emotion was on 10. It was so simple but fantastic. I would put those movies at the top of my list: Sinners, Train Dreams, Hedda, and Hamnet. And one thing that makes a movie stand out and it means something to me, and it puts you in the commentary of the best. Yeah, there's some things that for me immediately disqualify you. If you got characters who are badly written, you got to go. Like, you at the bottom of the list. But for me, If I am done watching the movie and I am still thinking about that story and them characters and what would have happened if this and where are they now? And that's so sad that they went through this. I want to see more of them. I wish I could get their backstory. That was so beautiful. To me, that is a mark of a good film. And those films that I mentioned, they got it. I still think Sinners is the best. It gave you everything. It gave you fantastic backstory of the characters. We knew who everyone was and we cared about each and every one of them. It gave you historical knowledge and gave you a viewpoint, a snapshot in time about what people were actually going through in the Jim Crow South. It told us things that we didn't know about. No camera time was wasted, even down to the Choctaw who came in and had their moment and bounced. No time was wasted by anyone in that movie. It just so happened to have vampires. It had a great ending. It tied up all loose ends. The scoring and the music was off the charts. Ludwig ain't had no business tearing that score up the way he did. I left that movie caring about all of them. I was fully entertained, locked in, invested the whole time. And then on top of that, box office smash. It gave y'all everything that y'all said y'all wanted. Sinners is the best movie of the year. Now, I will report back once I finish watching Begonia, Blue Moon, Song Sung Blue, and I'm going to try to find Secret Agent. And if I had Lex, I Kick You. That's on the list. I'm going to try to watch a piece of Begonia tonight. But I'm going to let y'all know what's up. Because, baby, y'all lost your mind talking about Sinners ain't the best movie. I done seen the movies. Okay, I done seen the movies. That's all I'm saying. Let me know y'all thoughts so far, though. Have you watched any of these? And if so, maybe you got a different opinion. Specifically with the ones people keep talking about. Have you seen Marty Supreme and One Battle After Another? What did you think? I'm open to discussion about it. What did you think about those? Let me know. You can find me at Kennelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the Obamas being around and present during NBA All-Star Weekend this past week in Los Angeles. We also talked about the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who passed away today. And then lastly, I gave an update on where I am regarding watching all of the talked about and nominated Best Picture films so far and how Sinners is still the best movie of 2025. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, Summer None, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Kennelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is kennelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.